Have you ever wondered why the more you try to save, the more your brain craves instant gratification? Today, we are diving deep into the cognitive friction between dopamine and long-term security to reveal why traditional budgeting fails. Discover how decision fatigue is secretly draining your bank account and how you can finally fix it. Meet Alex. Alex starts every month determined to stick to a strict budget. They create complex spreadsheets, cut all discretionary spending, and promise themselves they won't buy a single thing that isn't absolutely necessary. Alex is convinced that this time, through sheer willpower alone, the financial goals will finally be met without any trouble. For the first few days, everything goes perfectly. Alex skips the morning latte, packs a homemade lunch, and ignores the targeted ads on social media. There is a sense of pride and control. It feels like the old habits have been conquered by the new, disciplined version of Alex. The bank balance remains untouched, and the plan is working. But then, something strange happens. The stronger Alex tries to control every cent, the more tempting every single purchase becomes. That coffee shop smell isn't just a smell anymore. It's a magnetic pull. That new gadget ad isn't just noise, it's an urgent necessity. The mental pressure of constant restriction is starting to create a massive internal vacuum. By the middle of the month, the dam breaks. One small impulse purchase, a single reward for being so good, quickly turns into several more. Suddenly, Alex is staring at a pile of shopping bags and a depleted account, left frustrated and wondering, why is this so hard? Why can't I just stick to the plan like everyone else? The answer doesn't lie in a lack of character or discipline. It lies deep inside the biological machinery of the human brain. We are fighting millions of years of evolution every time we open a banking app. To understand why Alex failed, we have to look at how our brains were actually designed to handle resources and survival. Our ancestors evolved in an environment focused on immediate survival, not long-term financial planning. In a world of scarcity, if you found food, you ate it. If you found a resource, you used it. Saving for a distant theoretical future wasn't a survival strategy, it was a risk. This ancient programming is still running in the background of your mind. When Alex sets an overly strict budget, the brain doesn't see a financial plan. It interprets extreme restriction as a threat to survival. This triggers a threat response, much like the one our ancestors felt when resources were low. Your brain begins to prioritize immediate rewards to compensate for the perceived danger of having nothing. This is the neurological trap of rigid restraint. When we make certain options forbidden, they suddenly become more desirable. This is known as the forbidden fruit effect. By telling yourself you can't have something, you are actually heightening your brain's focus on that very item, making the eventual impulse to buy it nearly impossible to resist. Every spending decision Alex makes requires mental effort, a process that utilizes the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain responsible for planning, logic, and long-term goals. But here's the problem. Willpower is a finite resource. As the day goes on and Alex denies more impulses, the prefrontal cortex becomes exhausted, leading to decision fatigue. While the prefrontal cortex is trying to play the long game, the limbic system is demanding immediate gratification. The limbic system is the seat of our emotions and reward pathways. It doesn't care about Alex's retirement fund or next month's rent. It wants the hit of pleasure that comes from a purchase right now to soothe the stress of restriction. Alex isn't just fighting bad habits, they are fighting millions of years of biological wiring. This internal tug-of-war is exhausting. Every time Alex says no to a small pleasure, the tension between the planning brain and the emotional brain increases. Eventually, the limbic system wins because it's older, faster, and more deeply integrated into our survival instincts. To truly understand why we spend, we have to talk about dopamine. Most people think dopamine is released when we receive a reward, but that's a common misconception. In reality, dopamine is primarily about the anticipation of a reward. It's the chemical of more, the signal that tells the brain something exciting is about to happen. Think about the last time you scrolled through an online store. The dopamine isn't spiking when the package arrives at your door. It's spiking while you're adding items to your cart. This anticipation makes online shopping, flash sales, and impulse buying incredibly powerful psychological traps that are specifically designed to exploit our neurochemistry. For Alex, every no throughout the month builds up a dopamine deficit. The brain begins searching for a way to get that chemical spike. When Alex finally sees something they want, the anticipation of buying it creates a rush of dopamine that overrides all the logical rules stored in the prefrontal cortex. The budget doesn't stand a chance. When Alex finally breaks and makes that purchase, the first thing they feel isn't guilt. It's actually relief. This is the neurochemical spike that occurs when the brain finally gets what it's been craving. For a brief moment, the internal tension vanishes, replaced by a flood of neurochemicals that signal a successful acquisition of a resource. This relief is why we repeat the cycle. Our brains learn that spending is a quick way to resolve the stress caused by extreme budgeting. We become conditioned to view spending as a stress relief mechanism. The guilt only comes later, once the dopamine fades and the logical prefrontal cortex regains control, looking at the damage done to the bank account. So, if the brain is wired this way, is budgeting even possible? The secret isn't more willpower, it's changing the environment and the rules. Instead of rigid restraint, we need to move toward flexible boundaries. By allowing for small, planned indulgences, you prevent the threat response from ever being triggered in the first place. Alex needs to realize that a budget should be a tool for freedom, not a cage for punishment. When we frame budgeting as choosing what we value rather than restricting what we want, the psychological friction decreases. This subtle shift in perspective changes the way the brain processes the financial decisions Alex makes every day. Another key is automating the good decisions. If the money for savings and bills is moved automatically, Alex doesn't have to use willpower to save. The decision is made once and the prefrontal cortex can rest. This bypasses the decision fatigue that usually leads to late-night impulse buys when our mental energy is at its lowest. We also need to address the dopamine chase. By introducing a 24-hour rule for any non-essential purchase, Alex allows the initial dopamine spike to subside. Often, after the anticipation phase has cooled off, the desire to buy the item disappears entirely because the brain is no longer in that heightened state of reward seeking. Alex should also practice temptation bundling. If there's something they really want, they can link it to a difficult task, like cleaning the house or finishing a project. This uses the brain's natural reward system in a productive way. It turns the impulse into a reward, which feels much more satisfying and less threatening to the brain's sense of freedom. The goal is to stop the war between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. When Alex creates a budget that includes joy, the limbic system is satisfied and the prefrontal cortex can focus on the long-term strategy. This harmony is what leads to sustainable financial health rather than the boom and bust cycle of extreme restriction and regret. Understanding the why behind your spending habits is the first step to changing them. It's not about being better at budgeting, it's about being smarter about your biology. When you stop fighting your brain and start working with it, following a budget becomes less about sacrifice and more about building a life that you actually enjoy. Let's go back to Alex. This month, Alex tried something different. Instead of a strict budget, they created a value-based spending plan. They allocated money for their favorite hobbies and occasional treats. They automated their savings and set up a 24-hour cooling-off period for online shopping. The result was completely different. Mid-month arrived and Alex felt something new. Calm. Because they weren't constantly denying themselves, the threat response never kicked in. The coffee shop didn't feel like a magnet, and the social media ads didn't feel like urgent needs. Alex was in control, not through force, but through understanding and cooperation with their own mind. By the end of the month, Alex had stayed within their boundaries. There was no dam-breaking moment, no massive impulse haul, and most importantly, no crushing guilt. Alex realized that the secret to a successful budget isn't a better spreadsheet. It's a better relationship with the biological systems that drive our behavior every day. Your brain is a powerful tool, but it's also a product of its history. It hates being caged, it loves the chase, and it tires easily. By acknowledging these truths, you can stop the cycle of frustration. You don't need a stronger will. You need a system that respects the way you are actually built. That is the true psychology of spending. So, the next time you feel that urge to blow your budget, take a breath. Recognize it as a dopamine spike or a threat response to restriction. Give yourself permission to wait 24 hours. Most of all, remember that you are not a failure for finding this hard. You are just human. Now go build a budget that your brain can actually live with. Thank you for exploring the psychology of spending with us. If you found this insight helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the intersection of mind and money. Let us know in the comments, what's one small planned indulgence you're adding to your budget this month? We'll see you in the next video.